think that he cared for her. His self-assurance led him to believe that the reason that Eva was not consenting to his proposal was indeed because of her father's condition, for he little dreamed, nor would his egotism permit him to believe, that anything else could be the case. His mouth hardened in a subtle smile as he sauntered after Eva to bid her farewell. He remembered that De Luxe Dora was waiting outside for him in her speedster. He had made this paramour of his take him to the very door of his fiancée's home and there wait until he had paid his respects to the moneyed lady who would make happiness possible by supplying him with the funds to pursue his pleasures and ensure his father's hold on the International Patents Incorporated. Paul looked at his watch, then, after a few words of condolence which would hardly sound sincere from anyone less gifted, made a hurried departure toward the corner where the speedster was waiting. "Who was the funny gink that hurried by a little while ago?" queried Dora, in the vernacular of her calling. "He gave me the double O as though he had something on me." "That's a fellow we've got to look out for, kid," answered Paul, in the same terms by which he was addressed, for, if nothing else, Paul could be as much at home in the underworld as in a mansion on the Drive. "Brent claims that he was a chemist before he went bugs," continued Paul, "but I have my doubts. In fact, I'm very leery of him because I think he's a fly cop." He took his place beside Dora, who started the car and headed downtown. After Paul's departure, Eva hurried to her father's room and tried to comfort him. He was seated in a chair, staring blankly ahead of him. He was quieter now, but his body twitched nervously from time to time. The tears started to come to Eva's eyes as she saw her father's plight, and she knelt down beside him and took his hand in hers. She stroked it with her own hand and bent over and kissed it. As she knelt, crying softly, she sobbed half aloud, "Why can't I confide in you, Father? Why can't you advise me? I don't love Paul Balcom and could never marry him. I know I love Quentin Locke. I do. I do." As she sobbed, she bent over his hand and pressed it to her lips. Peter Brent sat staring into space, staring like a graven image. End of chapter 6. Recording by Roger Moline.